On the Jacob Beer Show, I am so happy to have on Melissa from Dance Moms. Many of y'all have told me that she's one of your favorite moms, so that's a good way to
Thank
start the
you.
morning.
I love that. That's so sweet.
So,
Jacob, I'm so impressed with you. Oh my gosh. Like, I love anything to do with like the space shuttle and all that. And I was listening to your podcast and I was really impressed. Just want to say.
appreciated. Yeah, definitely having on a moonwalker was quite an
Oh,
interesting thing.
neat. It was really awesome.
So, of course, everyone knows you from Dance Moms. Tell us a little bit about your background before Dance Moms, because I've interviewed several people who have been on shows, so a lot of them on Discovery shows, and you know, people just think that one day the light bulb turns on, they went to an audition, and they all of a sudden got lucky. Normally, that's not the case. So, tell us your background before coming on,
Well,
being on Dance Moms.
I grew up in New York, moved to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, lived among Amish people, got married, came to Pittsburgh. So I was just a Pittsburgh mom, and I took my kids to dance, never thinking anything else except I was going to be a mom. I, you know, I had a mortgage company, but then I got divorced, and my daughters were in dance class, and they just auditioned. A casting agent came to our studio and auditioned our kids to be on a show, and we all just happened to be cast on a show. I mean, literally, that's what happened. Like you said, it's exactly what happened to us. We thought, oh, this will be fun. We're doing a docu series. We were hired to do a docu series, not a reality show. So we thought, oh, it'll be fun. They'll just follow us to dance competitions, and that was not the case. Lots of drama, and then the show literally blew up. That's basically my story.
Yeah, exactly. And still to this day, when I told my buddy Jay, shout out to him, and he has a question I'm going to ask you.
So cute.
He was listening, last week it was their off day from homeschool, and they watched like the first season of it. So, even the ones who missed it a decade ago ish,
Oh,
people like
yes,
that are
little
still in it.
eight-year-olds are coming up to me and hugging me in the mall. We love you. I'm like, you weren't even born when the show started. So it's resurging again for like the third or fourth time.
Yes. So I guess kind of getting in, where do you what kind of made you, what was it like all of a sudden being casted into this reality, in the beginning, all you see is TV advertisements for reality TV shows and things like that. And then all of a sudden people are like, that person from Deadliest Catch or Dance Moms, I love them. So take me through that a little bit.
Well, it's just strange. I really never watched reality shows at that time except Jessica and Nick, which you probably don't even know. Jessica Simpson. It was the cutest little show. And it was just cute reality show. So reality wasn't really huge when it started, but it was the Kardashians. I never even watched that. So I didn't even know what we were getting into. None of us knew what we were getting into, honestly. So it was just strange. And when we were first recognized, Mackenzie said, she's like, why are people yelling my name? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And that was like when she was itty bitty, when people started recognizing the girls.
Wow, interesting. And what would you say? Do you have a favorite? This was a question from somebody I asked on the streets of Purdue yesterday. As I was nervous about class, I thought I'm just going to ask some people what they'd want to ask
I love
Melissa.
that.
So one of the questions was from somebody, what was your favorite dance that they did together? Not one, together.
Mhm. I think one of my favorite dances the girls did together was Stomp the Yard. It was just a really cool dance, but the most effective dance I think was the Last Text because like everyone died in it except my older daughter. My younger daughter died first, I think, and her dance teacher actually ran over her costume with her car before she put it on, and then put blood on it, fake blood, and so that was a good dance.
Wow, crazy. Um, what would you say when you originally enrolled them in dance class? Did they have any goals at the time to maybe, one day be in the Olympics or anything like that?
Well, no, they were little. Maddie was 2 and Mackenzie was 18 months. So, but when Maddie started maybe 6 or 7, she auditioned for Broadway at the same time as Dance Moms. And I don't even know if people know that, but she got like 7 callbacks for a Broadway show and actually got cast in a show. And it was either Dance Moms or the show, Broadway show. And she chose Dance Moms.
And that's clearly led to a lot of success. So,
Yes.
and here's a question, from going back to what Jay wanted me to actually ask you. Shout out to Jay from near Greenwood, Indiana. Yeah, he said, how have you been able to raise such successful daughters? One of your daughters is now doing music, the other one's doing some acting gigs. So, how have you been able to raise them? What would your advice be for mothers?
To let your kids make their own decisions and let your kids be more very comfortable to talk to you. I'm so blessed. My daughters are 19 and 20. We talk all the time. I'm with them all the time. They both own their own homes in LA. Um, I'm involved in their lives 100%, but not if they don't want me to be. I'm not in their faces, but I'm kind of in their faces. I think it's really important to let your kids make their own decisions and their own mistakes, but always be there to support them. But teach them to always be humble, kind, and loving and giving. And that's what my kids are. They're very, very humble. I mean, they would never, ever brag. I brag about them all the time. And they're like, Mom, stop. But they don't consider themselves celebrities or anything like that or famous.
That's always a good thing too. If you have made it, it's not to realize, and you see it with artists all the time and they fall through.
Mhm.
Speaking of famous, what is it like, being famous, I guess? And this is kind of a weird question to ask. But what is it like, where, hey, I can walk out on a college campus and everyone's heard of Dance Moms, What is that like? Do you get interrupted in public a lot still to this day?
I mean, I don't consider myself famous. I just think I'm like a mom. Like we always say we're cool moms because kids say, oh, I wish you were my mom. And like a lot of kids come to me for advice, which I love. And my house is always the safe house. Every kid can enter in my house with no judgment. But yes, I get recognized. And I love it, especially kids. But I love when boys recognize me. There was a 13-year-old boy the other day stopped me. He goes, I just love your character on Dance Moms. I'm like, well, that character is just me. I thought that was just so cute. But it makes my heart just so happy that people actually love me. People hate me too because they think I'm something that I'm not. But reality is a lot of editing, but it is what it is.
What was the most enjoyable moment being able to do the show? And don't say the green room with good snacks. I know that that's a
Oh,
common one.
oh, not for us. Our snacks sucked. So big time. I mean, we fought for good fruit and vegetables for our kids for years. That definitely was not the point. I think the most fun was when we weren't filming and we would go to the pool together with the kids and the moms and just hang out at the pool and eat because we love to eat and shop. But it's just spending time with the moms and kids. Like Brooke and I, Brooke's the oldest. I adore her. She lives really close by. We're going to film together on Thursday. So we're always there to support each other's kids, which is really amazing. But the closeness, no one will ever know what we went through. And we'll always have each other's backs.
Which is really awesome about, that show, because some shows you see like car shows, it's one person or something, on Discovery. So that's a really neat thing that there's three of you, three of you other ones that each have each other's back.
Mhm.
My next question is kind of, do you enjoy dancing yourself?
Well, I wish I could dance. I dance in the mirror. So my parents couldn't afford to send me to dance class. So that's why I sent my daughters to dance class. I'm not a good dancer at all. I thought about taking adult tap very many times and then I chickened out. I have tap shoes. I've never worn them. Well, I've worn them in my own house. But no, I'm not a dancer. I wish I would have been.
A couple of fun questions before I ask for your advice. How was the Eras tour with all the moms?
It was amazing.
I guess Taylor's getting a free promo, not that she needs it, but
Amazing. It was so good. And then we went to in the Pittsburgh, Jill and I, and it was Pittsburgh never sold as many tickets, and there was she set records in Pittsburgh for the
wow.
most well attended concert ever in the history of Pittsburgh.
And speaking of Pittsburgh, any fun facts about you? Are you a avid Steelers fan, Pirates fan?
I'm a Phillies fan, so just saying, sorry people out there. Everybody's a Pirates fan here, and well, Steelers are huge here. But I like hockey. You know, who doesn't love
You're a hockey mom
this?
after
Yes,
dance.
yes. I do like hockey because my ex-husband's boys played hockey, and we used to go watch them all the time. They're the girls' brothers.
Wow. What is a fun fact about you? I don't like to ask the same questions that other people ask. And the next thing I want to discuss is you're also hosting a podcast yourself. But what's a fun fact about you?
Huh. I'm really I'm not the best dance mom because I'm not good at hair and makeup. So that's like a fun fact, and maybe people know that about me. But and I also love to bake. Love to bake.
Wow. What's your favorite thing to bake?
I like to make cupcakes, cookies, cakes, everything. I mean, I love just to bake anything. And people ask for, can you bake me this? And I'm like, yes, I'll bake you that. I like
Wow.
to give it to my neighbors and my friends. I don't eat it, but I bake.
Interesting. And kind of the next thing I want to touch on real quick is you're hosting a podcast with some of the other moms now. Briefly describe where people can find that information at, or I should say not information, where you can listen to it at.
Thank you. Because Mom said so, it's on Apple, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. And it's every other Thursday. We used to do it every week, but we just don't have the time anymore.
Interesting. And what are some advice tips you would have? I guess we'll start with if somebody wants to pursue dancing. And then the second one is what advice would you have for somebody who's 18 on college campus nervous, aka that's me right now, and a lot of others. What would your advice be? So we'll start with the dance question.
Well, I say if you want to start dance, make sure that you research your dance studio to make sure that it's a safe studio. You have, good dance teachers and quality dance teachers, and a place that you can actually be when your kids are dancing, because I think it's really important that kids have their parents, especially underage, at their dance studio. I think it's really important. I never left my kids at their studio when I wasn't allowed to be there. I always stayed. And advice for 18-year-olds: do not vape. I'm telling you, vaping, I cannot stand this vaping. It's driving me crazy. But also have fun when you're in school. Of course, study hard, but get a really good group of friends. And you don't need like 50 friends. You need a good core group of, a handful of friends that you trust and always have your back. That's really important. I think that young people think they need such a big group of friends, but really you don't. You just need that core group of friends that you're going to live the rest of your life with, have babies with, and get married, and have your families be with. That's really important.
Interesting. I need to stop saying interesting so much,
No,
but
no.
everything is so interesting when you hear that from for the first time. Kind of last two quick questions are: where do you see yourself going potentially in the next 5 years?
Well, hopefully you're going to be seeing me doing some amazing things. I just started a YouTube channel that I love so much. I've been having so much fun doing. But I'm trying to get back into the swing of things now that my kids are, adults, even though they still need me. I think they need me more now than they did when they were younger. I'm trying to get back into the entertainment industry. So that's that. I also do a lot of service work. I feed homeless people weekly in LA. And I also do other lots of service work. So that's really important to me. And I'll continue to do that.
Awesome. And that's, I think, a really big thing. You could do so many things. You could go almost anywhere in the world and you're giving back to your community. So thank you so much. I think kind of the last question I have is what would you say is a negative, if you don't mind me asking, about the show life potentially? I guess maybe the green room's one of them if they don't have good food, but what's a big negative?
Well, being on a show, we were just moms from Pittsburgh. We had no clue what we were getting into. And today, if I would have been on that show, it would have been very different because I'm very strong now. Being on a reality show really changes your mindset. Um, but my kids begged me to keep my mouth shut, and people still in the public eye say, why didn't you stand up for your daughters? And I'm like, they begged me not to. Literally at night they would be like, Mom, don't say anything, please, please, please don't say anything. And that's something that I really regret. Although it would have made them sad, so that's why I did that. But I have such a big mouth now, I would never let anybody walk all over my kids.
Wow, really fascinating. Well, I appreciate you joining the Jacob Beer show today. For me, this was in speech class. A girl named Rand did a presentation over Abby Lee Miller as her hero. I think for my
What?
hero speech, yeah.
Oh,
So
you tell her to give me a call. I'm going to tell her a few things.
she's at Cincinnati now, so shout out to her. But University of Cincinnati, so
I'm going to visit her because it's right down the street. I go knock on her door.
for sure. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you have to say?
No, I just be kind. Everyone be nice, kind, and be buddies. Don't go by yourself in college. Don't walk around by yourself.
That's a good point. Always have the buddy system. And one last thing is if you ever come up to Purdue or Indianapolis, let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me know. So I am a big
love
tennis
that.
player.
I play
So
pickleball.
we do have pickleball courts. There's sometimes arguments over tennis players. So yes, but if you're ever up here, let me know and I'll play a game of tennis. So
Okay, sounds great. Thanks,
thank
Jim.
you so much.
Your
Appreciate it.
call.